just going back to last week's chat about Jordan Peterson's magnificent piece in the National Post. If you guys haven't seen it, and we're done here, go to YouTube and see his spoken word piece. It's called A Message for Canadians. He puts such a fine point on it that says, Canada, at this point, with Donald Trump breathing down the necks of Canadians saying, I want to make you the 51st state, it is incumbent upon the government of Canada and all provinces to make Alberta and Saskatchewan and BC, to a lesser extent, a better offer than Trump could. It was just incredible. His spoken word piece is what I watched just before. This is why I came in like a spicy cabbage roll today, Sheila, because it was so excellent.
Now, even to his credit, David Eby, who is terribly anti-oil and gas, he released a list of critical minerals and electricity initiatives they want to advance. But they also include energy security projects like $4 billion Cedar LNG facility and the $1.2 billion expansion of Enbridge's transmission northern gas line. And Legault, he's an outlier on this, even from David Eby. The thing is, if the United States decides to cut off oil and gas to Canada, he's in a world of trouble because Line 5 and Line 9 cut through the United States.
That's right.
53, and that's oil and gas from Alberta, but it goes to the United States and then goes back up into Canada.
Yes, yeah.
53% of the oil and gas in Quebec comes from Alberta and Saskatchewan. But the other 47% comes from the United States. And so if we ever end up in a trade war again, and I feel like we definitely will as long as we have Liberals in Ottawa.
Yes.
They have a strong reliance on oil and gas sourced in the United States, largely from fracking, by the way. Now, here's the thing about Quebec. They have banned fracking, which is an oil and gas renaissance. It unleashes gas fields we didn't know were possible. And they're happy to take fracked oil and gas from the United States, from Pennsylvania, from North Dakota, but they won't develop their own. So they're not against oil and gas jobs. They're not even against oil and gas. For some reason, they're against Canadian oil and gas and their own oil and gas.
Well, the reason why they can be picky about it, the reason they can ban it outright, the exploration and the development of their own oil and gas, is because of the humongous transfer payments that they get in the equalization formula in Canada. When you are being perpetually funded by the have provinces, by the hard, off of the backs of the hardworking people of Western Canada and North Dakota and Pennsylvania, then you can sit on your little golden pedestal of self-aggrandizement and say we are far morally superior because we don't do that kind of work here. You know what? If equalization was reconsidered and Quebec had to fend for itself, well, then they would have to make a decision to either develop their own resources or have their people freeze in the dark. And I guarantee that they wouldn't let their people freeze in the dark.
And Mark Carney right now, while we have this massive movement, 80% of Canadians saying, yes, pipelines, spiderweb them out, east, west, and north, let's move, right?
Yeah.
Because they realize now that the lack of foresight of the Trudeau Liberals, and couple that with their green extremism, have put Canada in a very vulnerable and precarious
position. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we're leaving a lot of money on the table, by the way. Third largest proven oil reserves in the world, and we can't build a pipeline. Third largest proven oil reserves, and we've got to sell to a discount because we don't have any actual export pipelines. Escorts. I'm thinking about the World Economic Forum and Mark Carney. I wanted to talk about Mark Carney and what's happening at the World Economic Forum. So of course I had escorts on my mind.
Yes, who doesn't?
Because that was in the Daily Mail. But Mark Carney in 2021, I was poking around, as I do, because I watched the House of Commons committees, and I just was like, when did he have some House of Commons appearances at committees, not running for leadership, but as the head of Brookfield Asset Management or as Justin Trudeau's advisor on financial matters? And so he was called by, I think, the Conservatives as the head of Brookfield. And it was in 2021. This was when I think it was this appearance at committee that got Pierre Poilievre muzzled by leader at the time, Erin O'Toole, for being too good at committee with Mark Carney. And he was asked, did you or do you support Northern Gateway Pipeline, which is one the Liberals killed? Harper approved it. It would have been a northern export pipeline from beautiful downtown Bruderheim, Alberta, very, very close to where I live. Bruderheim, all the way to northern BC, and then export off to the rest of the world. It would have instantly allowed us to get world prices for our oil, and the Trudeau Liberals had it die on the vine. And so they were asking Mark Carney about this, and he said, yeah, of course, that was a bad idea to ever consider building Northern Gateway. But right now, Mark Carney's like, yeah, we need to build pipelines. And it's like, you liar. You were not hard of remembering, you idiot. You are in committee testifying about it. Maybe I think we found it. I called him Davos man, Mark Carney.
Yes.
It's a long clip, so we'll just play some of it, but it doesn't matter if we go long. We're broadcasting longer and every day now. So let's watch this.
Thank you very much. Well, they can bubble wrap the witness all they want, but these are serious questions to which Canadians deserve answers. I'll move on to another one because Mr. Carney refused to answer the last one. Do you support the Prime Minister's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, Mr. Carney?
I understand the veto of the Northern Gateway pipeline.
You support it?
Given both environmental and commercial reasons.
Do you support it?
I think it was sensible. I wasn't involved in the decision, but I think it was
sensible.
The right decision.
And yet your company has invested billions of dollars in oil companies in both Brazil and the UAE to buy pipelines. You bought billions of dollars of pipelines as a company in the last 5 years. Do you support those investments?
Mr. Poilievre, there is a global energy system, and one of the issues, I'm trying to explain a bit of how the economy works. One of the
Thank
issues,
you so much.
It may help. One of the issues for this committee in thinking about a sustainable transition.
Do you support it?
Where is Canada's role in those as energy transitions from fossil fuels to renewables? And in different jurisdictions, into different geography, it matters. Okay. And this is a fundamental point.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. This is a fundamental. You're finally getting to a point.
You've exceeded
that
the time.
Is relevant to this committee's inquiry.
What you're saying is you oppose pipelines in Canada, but you support them in the UAE and in Brazil. That's what you actually said.
There are specific.
That's your double standard.
It is not a double standard.
It is a double standard.
No, it's not.
You make billions of dollars off foreign pipelines, and you shut them down here at home, putting our people out of work.
That you are a representative of the Canadian people, and one of your responsibilities, including at this committee,
is to fight for Canadian jobs, and not foreign jobs like you.
Exactly, to fight for Canadian jobs, and the types of Canadian jobs that are durable and are going to move forward.
Right.
I grew up in Alberta. I know the innovative nature of that.
Well, go try to give that answer back in Alberta, because I grew up there too, and I can tell you the people. I can tell you the people of Alberta would be ashamed with the answer you just gave. That you would give billions of dollars to foreign pipelines while not allowing Canadians to build pipelines here at home. That is the kind of elite Davos hypocrisy.
Could I please,
Madam Chair? This is really unbecoming of a member to badger any witness. This is really, truly unacceptable.
So we have a point of order from Monsieur Lemire. Vas-y, Monsieur Lemire. Je veux juste apporter le point de la traduction.
I just wanted to note that the translation is very difficult. We know that the conditions are very difficult for interpreters. It's very hard in virtually, so I think that we should act professionally. Thank you, Mr. Lemire. That was the point that I've been trying to make since the beginning of the meeting, that we should not be speaking over each other, because then you can't do translation.
Members, I want you to be able to ask your question, and I want the witness to be able to answer, but please don't talk over each other so that we can actually have the translation.
I think that anybody watching,
Carney, you've just said you support your leader's decision to kill a Western Canadian pipeline that ships the most ethical product in the world. Yet you also support your company's decision to invest billions of dollars in foreign pipelines in Brazil and in the UAE. It's clear that this is not about the environment. If it were, you'd be consistent and you'd oppose fossil fuels everywhere. But you're happy to profit off of foreign fossil fuel companies while killing jobs among our own people. How do you address that flagrant hypocrisy? It smacks of the Davos elite at its worst.
Okay. First thing, absolutely, I support Canadian jobs, and I support Canadian jobs today and tomorrow. And in order to have those jobs tomorrow, what we need and what this committee can contribute is an energy transition. The Canadian fossil fuels, Canadian companies will play an essential role. Brookfield itself is heavily invested in Canada, including in energy infrastructure for fossil fuels. But it's also, and we connect collectively as Canadians, and we look to our parliament to support this, need to be putting in place the energies and industries of the future. That means carbon capture and storage. That means blue hydrogen, and both of which are absolutely essential for Canadian jobs in my home province of Alberta. And that's where the future lies. Now, we need to have the overall picture, which is why, and I'll finish with this, Chair, I emphasize the clear pathways, walking back from that, not jumping on specifics, and not seeing the bigger picture, nor providing the support that Canadians deserve.
Thank you.
You know, this guy is giving such funeral director vibes. I mean, honestly, doesn't he? He's giving funeral director vibes, and everything he says, the more he talks, the more you can just hear like the language of the World Economic Forum spilling out of him. Like, this is a man who is so ingratiated in those elite circles that he just simply can't go off the script that he's taught himself to say. Just like Justin Trudeau has a script, you know, the one where he says Islamophobia, transphobia, homophobia. He has a script.
Right.
Well, Mark Carney is just transition, carbon capture, you know, the diversification of our energy model,
right,
you know, across the globe. Like, this, I mean, this guy is just unreal. But I don't think that I've ever seen a man who lacks in charisma quite as much as Mark Carney. Like this is the antithesis to charisma. And charisma in politics, as many of you know, is very, very important. You must be charismatic at some point. This is human Eeyore right here.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. He is Eeyore made man. He's just so boring.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.